The Devil's Rock. Long ago, on a warm summer's day, a young woman from the village of Rattenberg in the Bavarian forest drove her herd to a meadow near a great rock wall. There she secretly met with a young man who was not from the village, but had appeared one day as a stranger. At first, she had been uncertain about him, yet his kind words and his mysterious, charming aura had gradually enchanted her. He had visited her several times over the following weeks, and each time her affection had grown, until at last she gave him her heart completely. But her parents had earnestly warned her. "Be careful," they said. "He is a stranger, and we do not know where he comes from." The young woman, however, did not heed their warnings. The fire that this man had kindled within her was far too strong. That day, they went to the rock wall, while the cows grazed peacefully, and they lost themselves in their passion. They kissed ardently and slowly removed their clothes. In his embrace, the young man asked if she would stay with him forever. With a smile on her lips and full of trust, she spoke the fateful yes. No sooner had she uttered the word than the young man's gaze changed. The warmth vanished from his eyes, and a sinister glow took its place. His form began to shift, as if he had only worn a mask, and before her no longer stood an ordinary man, but the devil himself. Horrified, she recoiled, but he seized her in an iron grip. The young woman stared at him with wide eyes, her heart racing, yet her limbs refused to obey her. He pressed her mercilessly against the rock wall, so tightly that she could not escape. The meadow around them flared with unholy fire, the peaceful idyll turning into a hell of heat and smoke. In her scream mingled love, despair, and nameless fear. Yet no one heard her. Suddenly it was as though the devil were pressing her into the stone itself, and he vanished with her into the rock and down into the underworld. There the devil tore the woman's body into pieces. Then with dreadful force he dragged her soul into the deepest recesses of his infernal realm. Bound in heavy iron chains, she was fastened to the very walls of hell. Her voice, which once sang songs upon the meadows, now rose in desperate screams that echoed through the abyss. In vain she cried for help and pleaded for mercy, but no ear among the living ever heard her lament. The devil, however, reveled in her torment. He left her weeping and screaming in the flames, yet he or one of his demons would return again and again to abuse her. Her beauty, which had once brought joy, had become a mirror of agony, while the flames licked about her form like a cruel game. Thus she was condemned to spend eternity in chains and fire, cruelly tormented and far from all whom she had ever loved. Yet even in the world of the living, a sign of her fate remained. Upon the rock wall where she had vanished, one could long see the dark imprint carved deeply into the stone, until in time it faded, leaving only the folds of the skirt the young woman had worn. In the end, this rock wall came to be called the Devil's Rock. To this day, travelers shudder when they look upon it, as though they still hear the girl's screams echoing from within. Since that time, the people of the surrounding villages tell how, in dark nights, strange rumblings and noises are heard. Then the folk glance fearfully at one another and whisper, "Tonight, the devil has haunted again." And all know that the devil, who once as a stranger seduced a young heart, still carries on his work in the shadows of the rock wall and the forests, and that one must ever be wary of strangers and false tempters who prowl the world.